Okay. All right. I think for the sake of time, we will begin the session. So yeah, on the call is David Onyango. I am the founder of Do It Solutions Limited, and I have my team on the call. So I will request Peter to introduce himself, and then followed by Gray.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Omondi. I'm a product lead at Lead Solutions, and I'm glad that we're having this session today. I hope we'll get others to join us as we go ahead. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Agre. Okay, I think Agre has dropped off for some reason, but just for the sake of time, I think we'll proceed. So I'll just give a brief background on the company, and then we can delve into the subject matter of the day. So I've just moved to the first slide, which talks about the company background. So Do It Solutions Limited was formed about 2 years, less than 2 years ago. That's 2nd of May 2024. And it's anchored on the purpose of doing it right. So by doing it right for us means that for whatever assignment that we undertake, be it product development or service provision, we ensure that we meet the customer's requirements. We just don't dump a solution to the customer without actually ensuring that the customer's primary needs have been met. As you know, there are plenty of softwares and software solutions out in the market, and you have to really get it right for you to be able to satisfy your customers. So coupled with our purpose, our mission is really to create scalable solutions which are interoperable and smart. By smart, of course, we know the world is moving towards AI. So even without mentioning it, definitely our solutions are AI enabled. And you will see with this solution we are going to demonstrate today how it's going to leverage on AI to be able to get maximum results and value for the customer. So having only been in existence for less than 2 years, our primary focus right now is really to penetrate the emerging markets, Africa in particular. And we foresee that we're able to achieve this through strategic partnerships that we have already established, and the ones that are in the pipeline. So, for example, our main partner today is Microsoft. So, Microsoft has really come through for the company in terms of providing resources, by resources in terms of cloud computing resource as well as technical support. So we are able to leverage on that partnership and to maximize on our solution output. All right. So moving on, I think we're now getting into the real meat of the day, and we are talking merchandising. So merchandising, I think, is closely related to sales. Though for some organizations, you'd find that a merchandiser does the same role as sales. But for most large enterprises, like the one I used to work for, I mean, fairly recently, the merchandising team is separate from the sales team, so their roles are very distinct. So in a day of a merchandiser, a typical day would be a merchandiser getting into a store, ensuring that the products are well placed on the shelf, and also just ensuring that in terms of share of shelf, that they have the required share of shelf in a particular store. In addition to that is taking care of inventory. They will take stock see where there's any shortage, take note, and then report back to the office so that the relevant teams can be able to do the required fulfillments. Of course, that goes hand in hand with reporting any customer feedback that they would get along the aisle. So one would imagine that, okay, now with all this, does merchandiser influence sales? So it just depends on one's point of view, but at least from my experience, I've seen that merchandisers play a very critical role in influencing sales, even though that may not be their primary responsibility, but they do a lot of influencing when it comes to sales. And I'll be able to demonstrate how our solution, practically how our solution can be able to influence sales and also enable collaboration between, between the sales team and the merchandising team. So with that, I'm going to end in terms of PowerPoint slides. As I mentioned, this is a doing it, is a do it right, is a do it company, and therefore do it company, we just go practical as soon as possible. So I'll go practical. So I'll just end the slideshow on the screen, and I'll just reshare my screen to just show you what we have from a solution perspective. Okay, so sharing my screen shortly, and then we have our right coming up shortly. Just juggling between my primary and my secondary monitor, but we'll get on it shortly. All right. So, Agri, you can tell me if my screen is visible.
It's visible.
All right, thanks. Okay, great. So now we are on the practical session of it, and what we have here is the system, the actual system. So the system consists of two parts. Of course, we have a backend, the backend side, which hosts all the master data information as well as the transaction, and then we also have front end side, which does host the client application. Now, the client application is targets multiple operating systems. So we have Android, and then we have Windows as well as iOS. So it's a multi-platform front end. Coupled with that, we of course depending on the customer needs, we are able to publish based on client branding, so that when your users are using it out there, then of course they associate it with the company brand colors. Right. So where I'll start with the front end, and then I'll be explaining some of the features, some of the key features as we move along, rather than showing you those features on the slide. So I'd rather do it practically. So the screen you're seeing on the left side. So what I'll do, I'll just minimize everything from the screen, so that we only now remain with what is it called? I'll just display desktop. Show the desktop, so that I only remain with the front end of the application. So I'll just go back to home page, so that you're able to see everything clearly. Okay. All right. So this is how the application looks without the branding. So it's bare minimum. So there is no branding at all. But once a client goes live, then we put the required branding onto the software. So we have a list of companies here, and we have one that we've created fictitiously just for the demo. It's called Utopia Freak. But before we move out of this screen, there are certain aspects I'd like to explain when it comes to what the capability, what the system is able to do from a tenancy perspective. So the system is able to support both single and multi-tenant scenarios. So what do I mean by single tenant scenario? So single tenant scenario is where, say, you have only one operating company and you want to onboard on the system. So we'll only have one company. Like in this case, it will be called Utopia Freak. Now, assuming that Utopia Freak has branches either all over the country or across the continent, then the system will be able to host those multiple operating companies within one instance. So you'll have Utopia Freak, for instance, Utopia Freak Kenya, you have Utopia Freak Tanzania, and so on and so forth, all based on one interface. So all the other tenancy configurations will be done at the back end, as well as the applicable permissions that would go along with it, because the system also ensures that both access and authorizations are observed, and you'll be able to see that as we move along. So having explained that feature, we can proceed to the main menu. So I'll just proceed. And then here you notice, okay, one other thing you notice that it actually indicates it's working offline. So I think my connection right now is not so stable. That's why it's showing working offline. Otherwise, the system is able to support both working offline mode as well as online. So in the case of an offline situation, then it will be able to store all the data on the machine, and when resumes, then it's able to pick up basically to sync the transactions across to the server. Okay, so what do we have here? So we have we've already logged in, and then if we go to the menus, we have a host of menus. So we have customer, we have inventory, order, and shelf audit feedback. So if, say, I was a merchandiser and I was visiting a store for the first time, so either I would have, the customer, of course, would have been mapped from the back end, and the expectation is that probably it has GPS coordinates. So if, say, the customers in the backend does not have any GPS coordinates, what this system is able to do, it's able to allow the merchandisers to be able to capture the GPS coordinates right on the spot, and then the information is sent across to the server. But however, if the GPS coordinates already exist, then and maybe the company would like to put controls in terms of in terms of the integrity of the master data, then this particular option would be taken off from a permission perspective. So not any merchandiser can be able to take coordinate. But in the case of that you want select merchandisers to be able to take GPS coordinates, then that can be enabled based on backend permissions that can be applied and propagated onto the front-end system. So that is what this particular screen does. So it's purely for GPS coordinates. Now, in cases where, say, you'd also want the merchandisers to have ability to collect additional master data related to the customer, we can always customize that so that you're able to have additional fields and capture the information and send, because we've had clients asking for that. Say, if they want the merchandiser to be able to update contacts, then you are able to customize it accordingly. But for now, so for standard, we only kept it up to GPS coordinates, because we're using the GPS coordinates also to do geofencing when the merchandise is out in the market to capture information. So, for example, just to show you that it actually works, I can pick any supermarket out there. So let's say XYZ. If I capture the coordinates, it will automatically do it and report once it's already captured. Okay, so there's that dialog box up here that shows that the coordinates have indeed been captured and therefore can be utilized. So that's already been synced to the server. Now, so that's briefly on customer. So we have the next thing is on inventory. So we did mention that one of the core responsibilities of a merchandiser when they enter the store is to look at inventory. Okay, so the merchandiser here will be able to come pick the customer. Say, for example, is entered ABC Supermarket, and there's only these two products which are assigned to ABC Supermarket. So we'll be able to pick, say, basmati rice and say, okay, our basmati rice is at a level of 100 today. Okay, so when I add inventory, yeah, so that's the inventory as of today. So, and which is being forwarded to the server. So it actually generates a line here indicating that that the stock level has been updated. Then you'll notice that we have other settings which are automatically downloaded. Say, for example, the reorder threshold. It says reorder threshold is at 500. Okay, meaning the reason why this is a stand to this color red is that we are already below the threshold, and therefore that means that it's a flag to signal the merchandiser to report that there's a stock shortage. Okay, so let's take another one, and maybe just for them for clarity, these particular settings are done from the back end under the customer item settings, where you're able to map the customer against the product, and then be able to specify those specific settings. So just shortly, it's gonna load. So once it so it's loaded. So here we're already seeing these particular settings which are downloaded on the client. They're already set up at the back end. It involves reorder threshold, minimum quantity, maximum quantity, suggested quantity, and so on and so forth. So for example, if we are to pick another, say Ahmed Patel stores, and then we say processed, I'll just Ahmed Patel stores, and we are saying processed cocoa beverage. Here we are already seeing that the reorder threshold is at 20. So if we go here, processed cocoa beverage is 20. So if we say that the stock level is 30, okay, what will happen is that when you add the inventory, it will not flag it as though it is that as though we need to reorder. Okay, but then there's also something interesting that happens. So this particular store was actually, the GPS coordinate was taken at the coast of Kenya, and the GPS coordinates are actually out of range from where I am, because I'm in Nairobi, and the system has been set to only look at a radius of 100 meters. So anything beyond 100 meters is considered out of range. So for this one, it's out of range, but since we are doing this for experiment purpose, and it also allows you to proceed if you know that indeed you're out of range. So in this case, we'll just proceed. Okay. So once we proceed, it will show us Ahmed's stock level is at 30 and the reorder is 20, and therefore there is no need to do any orders. And we'll see how that comes into play when it comes to order processing. Now, here comes the trick. Now, for most companies, you find merchandisers are not responsible for order taking. Yeah, they would probably just inform the store manager that there's this particular shortage, and therefore they go ahead and do either their own purchase orders, and then now communicate to your principal company that they need to order certain items. Now, what our system does is that it empowers the merchandisers to be able to create an order right from the same system. Now, and this you'll see how it goes, because the way the way it's been done is such that for companies where they still there's still a sales team that is responsible for sales. What the system does is that it will just take the order, then based on a workflow, it will go to the server. Then the salesperson is the one who will have the final say of either they are approving that order or modifying the order. And we'll be able to demonstrate that as we move along. So on order suggestions for ABC Supermarket, we'll just say get suggestions, and then it will come here and pull up the last order we did, and then we're saying, okay, fine. Here we have the system is recommending that this suggesting that you should place an order of 750. Now you might wonder where the figure of 750 is coming. Okay, so the figure of 750 comes from the recommendation done at the back end, okay, on suggested order quantity, and you'll see the figure captured here as 750. Now, the figure for 750 can be captured in one of two ways: either manually for companies that do not have or are not ready for deploying an AI system. But for companies that are ready to deploy an AI system, this same field is populated based on the models that are running in the background. So our system is able to both facilitate companies that do not have an AI system, and so that they're able to enter that figure manually, and therefore it's able to serve both situations. Now, at this level, so the suggested order quantity that has been popped up is 70. So at this point, the merchandiser has the option of just accepting it as it is or making modifications of this suggested order. Now, the suggested order could be, the modification can be based either, can be modified after engaging the store owners that there is, the system is suggested 750, do you have the capacity? Then if they don't, then you can either amend it up, downwards, or you can modify it upwards, depending on if they are in a position to service that particular order quantity. So one might say that, why allow for that, yet we want to encourage either the AI model or the reorder, the suggested quantities to take precedence. So of course, situations do arise that would force you to be able to want to be able to make that modification. But these modifications are actually trailed in the back end, and when the model runs again, it takes into considerations those modifications, because it could be either an overstatement or an understatement for that particular store. So in this case, let's assume you're not making any changes and then leave it at that. Now, so we might also find a situation where maybe it did not come up as a suggestion, but the store feels that we need to top up product B. So you can make an additional 180 there, and then you add, then you submit the order. Okay. So meanwhile, as I talk, we have a Q&A box, which I will encourage you to post any questions. And at some stage, I'll be able to check with my team if there are any questions. All right. Okay. So I've submitted the order. It's gone through. So the order here shows that 2 items have gone through, that 750 and 180 as shown, and it has already uploaded to the backend. So if we come to the backend, straight away we'll be able to see that has come through immediately. So I'm going to submitted orders. Agre or Peter, am I still online? Am I still audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thanks. All right. So here we're able to see the order that has come through. This is the order that you've just raised. So just there's something that maybe I'll just point out. So there's a time zone issue here which are not fixed. So basically it is +3, which is 8:25 p.m. Kenyan time. Yeah, but this is GMT. Just look at it from a GMT perspective. Now, what does it show? It shows that this I'm the one who submitted this order. The item counts in that order are 2, and is whether it was within geofence. Remember, for ABC it was within geofence. It does say correct that I was within geofence. Then we can go into the details of the order. So in the details of the order, it shows us the order, as it were, the suggested order, the ordered quantity, and now it gives us the opportunity to either approve this order as it is, or we make modifications. So this is where I was talking about collaboration between the merchandiser and the salesperson. So the salesperson has overall responsibility on the sales. So he might come here and say, no, I want to push more sales. So I want to bump up the sale by 100 units to take 150. Okay. For product B, okay. So since okay, so I might decide, okay, as a salesman, I'm not making any changes there. Okay. And then I might also decide that I'm adding a new item. Okay. That over and above what the merchandiser and the store owner agreed, we have the option of adding a new item. So when I come here to select, I can come and select, say, product A, for example. Okay. Remember, there was no suggestion and there was no ordered quantity, but here I'm going to say, this is a new product. I want to push this product to this store. Let's see whether they can manage 120. Okay. And then we say save approved quantities. Now, two things will happen. The new records will be captured, but at the same time, the system will try to push the orders to the ERP system. So, because here we are only dealing with quantities, and the ERP system is the one responsible for processing the orders, because that's where you have the price rules governing price which the customer is applicable for, and any other discounts that might be applicable. Also, it also means that if there's any credit limit rules that have been set at the ERP level, then they're able to be caught at that level. Now, but so our system here was developed with sub-business one as the primary as already that ship with the interface for sub-business one that ships off with it, but we're able to customize for any ERP system out there. In addition to that, for companies that do not have ERP systems, the system can work in standalone. So these orders we can be retained here and processed on this particular system fully to the very end. So what do we have here? So it shows status is approved, and we're able to see all the movements of the stock for this particular order. Now, there's also an interesting feature here called view change history, which shows the audit trail of all the transactions that have taken place for this order. It shows that I did make a modification of the approved quantity from 750 to 850. Of course, we did not make any change for 180, but we added additional item 120 to try and see if we can push a new product in that particular store. All right. So that is on order processing. So going back to the mobility. So what will happen is that once these orders have been processed, the next time you do so this particular order is order number 177. So okay, which is recognized differently on the front end. So if I do a sync, this particular order will come down in approved status. Okay, so I'm just going to do download orders. So automatically, whatever we had done under placed order, since we have already processed it will go to the processed order section. Okay. So processed order section is where we have this latest order. So it shows us that for this order where initially we had approved, we had asked for 750, the approved quantity is 850, and then we have 180, and the new product is 120. So everything is synced immediately in real time. So whatever is happening in terms of order processing at the back end with the back office team, the front team is already aware what is happening, and they're able to give assurances to their customers at the front end. Okay, so that's it on order processing. So moving on, so we have shelf audit. This is a very interesting area, and basically it now looks at the product placement and display, as well as planogram execution. So before we move to shelf and audit, the shelf audit section, maybe I'll just pause there and ask my team if they're seeing any questions that I can pick up right away. If there's none, I can proceed. Agri, do you see any questions?
At the moment, there's none.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. All right, great. So moving on, we have the shelf audit. So on shelf audit, we can select a customer, say ABC Supermarket. Audit notes, we'll give it notes. We'll just say demo. Let's call it demo on LinkedIn. Right. So here we're saying audit items. Now there are several audit items that one can do. One can audit on price, facings, availability, visibility, and then the planogram. So those who are in the field would know this very well, but it's pretty straightforward, and I'll just demonstrate what goes on. So we'll pick basmati rice again. And what we are saying here, so the price there indicated is 1. Of course, we know a bag of rice will not cost 1 shilling, but of course, this is just test data. But let's give it a price. So let's assume the actual price on the shelf is 100 shillings. Now, I have the option of whether saying if the price is correct or not by putting a check mark on that field, but we can leave it at that because the price is actually not correct. And then we go to facings. So it says on the shelf, this particular basmati rice ought to have 6 facings. So we can say, okay, 6. We found out to be 6, which means it's compliant as per that. Then we have the figure of share of shelf. Now, share of shelf is basically a measure of what we occupy versus our competitors. So we can talk of 50%, and then we save. Okay. Availability. You might wonder why your product is available and out of stock at the same time. It's just so that you're able to take care of situations like the product could be available, yes, but it's maybe below the reorder levels, and therefore it means that yes, it's available, but it's also technically out of stock because it's fallen below the threshold. So we say save. Visibility. So on visibility is now on shelf positioning. And what we've done, we've configured these industry-known shelf positions, but these are shelf positions that can be modified based on customer requirements. So here we have eye-level shelf, we have hand-level shelf, waist, and so on and so forth. So we'll pick one randomly and say hand-level shelf, and then we say, okay, the product is visible. If it has any promotional material, we say, yes, it has a promotional material. Then we need to take a photo. Now, since we are not in a store, I'm just going to take a picture of my power bank just for illustration purpose. Then we say we accept, right? And on this particular screen, you can capture as many photos as you want. It's not limited to one. So we'll just take one for now, and then we say save. So it will have already taken a picture on visibility. On planogram, so planogram is a very interesting one here. And remember, as I said, our system caters for organizations that are both AI ready and those that are not AI ready. Now, for organizations that are not AI ready, you take your planogram compliance feedback manually. So for here, you can say, okay, is it planogram compliant? You put a tick, and then should there be any violation notes, then you capture violation notes. Here we'll just say none for as an example. Then we can take, a photo of the shelf. So remember here, okay, I'll take a picture of my cup. Remember here, we're not in a supermarket, so we're just taking pictures as it were. But in a practical situation, we'll be dealing with an actual shelf while taking this. Okay. Now, so that is on the manual bit. But remember, we have the intelligent bit. Okay. The intelligent bit is we're saying that we've set up planogram at the back end, which involves, of course, the organization giving us the planogram templates, and then we feed them into the AI model. They are trained properly such that when you take a photo of a shelf, then you're able to quickly compare with it and see if they're compliant. Now, for illustration purposes, we do not have a model right now in place because, of course, it requires the templates from an organization. So we're just going to use a mock. This is going to be a mock to tell us just to illustrate to you how the planogram is analyzed. So I'll just click Analyze Planogram. Analyze Planogram, and it's doing something. Of course, we know it's not doing anything. It's using a random table at the back end just for illustration. And what is it saying? It says for this particular item, it's non-compliant, and gives and then it just gives sorry. Let me just go. And then gives an analysis of why it's non-compliant. So it says non-compliant details, planogram violation detected, confidence level is 75%, see violation details for specific issues identified. It talks of competing products encroaching on designated spaces, insufficient number of facings, expected 4, detected 2. Of course, we know this is incorrect because it's a randomization, but I think you get the point. So we'll save this as a planogram results, and then we submit the audit. So once the audit is submitted, it automatically goes to the server. And immediately, if I go to the server, to the shelf audit section, I'll be able to see our latest situation. So we have details. It will show us what we have captured. Basmati rice, we're saying the actual price is 100, expected is 1. Of course, it automatically knows that this price is not correct. And of course, same applies to facings and all that. So these are the planogram photos and the visibility photo I had earlier taken. And then, of course, you'll be able to show the planogram explanations in detail so that whoever is in the back end can be able to figure out what's happening in the field and then take corrective actions. So that's on shelf. That's on shelf audit. Very interesting area, but I think it will be much more fun when we get to implement one for an actual intelligent planogram system. Right. So moving on. So we have the feedback section. So the feedback section basically shows you gives the merchandiser the ability now to collect feedback from a store and send it over to the backend. Now, so the feedback can come direct from the customer or from a consumer on the aisle, but we'll just be anchoring it on the customer store. So feedback here could be, I can't find basmati 500 grams in any store. So this one, assuming a consumer comes and meets a merchandiser, then is able to offload that feedback to him or her store in town. Okay. In town. Okay. All right. So you also have a photo take. Yeah.
David, we don't
Yeah.
see the front end. We're not seeing the front end.
All right. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So, sorry. So we are in feedback section. So we're saying we have the customer, and then we have the feedback session. I just indicate I can't find basmati 500 gram in any store in town. Then we say, okay, so I have the option of taking a photo, but since there's nothing to show, the item is actually not in town, so there's nothing to show. But just for illustrative purposes, we can take a picture of anything again. Again, we'll sweat the power bank one more time for this session. Then here we have product, so it's optional, but since we know we are talking about basmati rice, we'll say 500 grams. Where location, we have the GPS location, but if you need to capture anything else, you can. And then and then you submit the feedback. Okay. So again, this feedback is in real time, goes to the server. In the case where you are offline, say you've gone out in a remote area and there's no connectivity, that does not prevent you from working. You'll still be able to work, and then when you get to an area where there's connectivity, you'll be able to sync everything to the server. All right. Okay. So if we go to feedback, the feedback screen, we'll be able to see what has just come in. And that is the latest information that has come. I can't find basmati rice 500 gram in store in town. Okay. So if I'm at the back end, yeah, I'll be able to see, hey, okay, we have some action here to do. So we go to edit, then we say, okay, we need to assign a team to be able to look into this. Why don't we have basmati in town? So we go here and say, okay, sales team, okay, can you escalate this internally and tell us what is going on? So here I will say it's work in progress, and once I save, automatically a summary of the issue will be sent to two parties. The party that logged the issue, in this case, it would be the merchandiser. The merchandiser will get an email showing that item is work in progress, being worked on. And at the same time, the support team will also get the same. So if we go, okay, I don't know whether, okay, maybe once it pops up, I'll show you the format of the email. Okay. So let me just go here quickly and move it to another screen, just so that you're able to see the layout of the message that goes out. Right. Okay. So yeah, so it has come through. I'll just drag it across. So this is how the message looks like. So it just says, work in progress. It gives the ticket number that's already assigned automatically, and then assigns to the sales team. So the sales team is now made aware that this is working, and once they work, again, we'll get into the system and then close the issue as completed, and then the same cycle will happen. Both parties will receive an email confirming that the issue has been closed. Now remember that for each of these items, there is an SLA that is measured. Okay, so assuming if I go here and say that the status has been resolved, okay, say resolved, we have sent out trucks, okay, or whatever, then we say that has happened in record time of today, yeah, and the same is a 1 minute resolution. Say save. So once you save, it goes. And what happens with the SLA? So the SLA will automatically be met. Okay. So if we go here, it will show SLA for this item has been met. Okay. And also you're already seeing the preview of the completed task. It goes to both parties, confirming that the issue has been closed. Yeah. So that's on feedback. You're able to see all those under reports. So we have the system has a Power BI embedded version. So what happens is in the current situation, we've scheduled it to run twice a day. But of course, with Power BI, we can schedule it to run as frequently as the client requires. So what we have just done will not reflect in our report at the moment, including the orders we've just made for ABC. That will not show. Likewise, we'll also not be able to see the new stock that came through. But this is how the basic reports look like. But as you know, when it comes to Power BI, it's a bottomless pit when it comes to visualizations. So as many visuals that you want, we'll be able to embed them. And because what matters here is the underlying data. And since there is good integrity on our data based on our tests, then when it comes to visualization, it becomes a very straightforward matter. So this is showing the feedback and the SLAs that have been made. So you can look at the overall SLA for each team or for the entire company. Okay. So that is it from a transaction processing perspective. What is also there that would be of interest to you as prospective clients is that the team setup is basically just to show the SLAs we've set up for those various teams, and that's how the SLA is actually measured based on what you indicate for your SLA. But now, when it comes to ERP integration, I remember I said that for ERP integration, at the moment, we have only enabled the SAP Business One integration because that was our first client who wanted that. But the system is flexible enough to be able to configure additional ERP systems based on the client needs. Okay. So this is just an show of how a dashboard showing, how you can retry. You can either retry failed invoices either individually or as a group. So this one, yeah, is pretty straightforward. But what is of interest is to show you that from an AI perspective, the system is actually enabled to handle AI. So here we have all this data, whatever data is created on the back end is shipped onto our data lakes. Okay, so the data lakes is where we have the models created, and once a client requires specific types of models, we design those models, and then those models are what will utilize this data that's being synced at regular intervals. Yeah, so that's basically it from a demo perspective. So I've been talking for close to 50 minutes nonstop. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll just go back to my screen. Yeah. Just a minute. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any Q&A? Or is it straightforward? It could be
We
straightforward.
don't have any.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't
Looks
have
like
any.
the. Okay.
Audience is, I think the attendees
Okay.
are rolling with the punches.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. So I think what we'll do, since there are no questions, and I think there's nothing else to demonstrate at this point. I think we'll end there. And for any person, any customer who wants to contact us for further information or rather additional demos that are client specific or other business specific, you're welcome to send us a note. Then we'll arrange for a session, either in person or remotely. Yeah, so that's basically it. And I wish you a good evening. Thanks and bye.
Thanks too.
Right.
Thanks. Bye.